If Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic left you wanting more of that game's near-perfect blend of exploration, combat, and role-playing, then the Sith Lords is going to give you your fill. You should read the full review for all the details, but you should also know that it's the first game from Obsidian Entertainment, a studio composed of veteran RPG designers who took the development reins on the sequel from BioWare and evidently stayed true to the original style and vision in the process. That is, you wouldn't be able to guess just from playing the Sith Lords that this was the work of a different developer than the original. Ironically though, since Knights of the Old Republic was such a big game and packed in so much replay value, it didn't necessarily scream for such a similar sequel. As a result, you might have a tougher time settling into the Sith Lords, since chances are you'll feel like you're playing the same game as before, only it seemed to look quite a bit better a year ago. But on the other hand, so what? It's just as important to note that no other game since Knights of the Old Republic has managed to deliver that excellent style of role-playing until now. So if you're a Knights of the Old Republic fan, then you should find a certain satisfaction in knowing almost exactly what you're in for going into the Sith Lords. In the first game, you eventually discovered your Jedi powers as well as your mysterious past. This time you begin the adventure as a Jedi, but your memory, your Force powers, and even your lightsaber are all missing. A journey of self-discovery awaits, and as you pick up the pieces of your past and rediscover the reasons for your exile from the Jedi Order, your path will lead you to the few remaining Jedi who survived the catastrophic events since the conclusion of the original game. Apart from the amnesia-stricken protagonist cliché, the story of the Sith Lords turns out to be quite intriguing most of the way through, thanks to some interesting characters and a few exciting, smaller episodes you'll experience along the way. The story's fairly terse conclusion and occasionally strange leaps of logic aren't terribly satisfying given how much build-up and exposition there is leading up to the climactic confrontations that occur. But the course of the adventure, which should take you from 30 to 40 hours one time through, is rewarding enough as it is, and the story is ultimately of comparable quality to that of the original, and therefore one of the new game's main attractions. Much like Knights of the Old Republic before it, the Sith Lords does a great job of making you feel like your actions have real consequences, one way or another. You'll constantly be faced with morally good or evil options in your discourse with the game's many characters, and the story pans out differently no matter what you decide. Better yet, the decision-making isn't always so cut and dried. For instance, one of your companions, a mysterious old Jedi named Kreia, might chastise you for doing what you felt was certainly the morally right thing to do. Kreia makes a convincing point, causing you to second-guess yourself. Sometimes people must learn life's hard lessons firsthand, and helping them out in a bind at these critical moments may not ultimately be what's best for them. The Sith Lord's morally ambiguous storyline has a number of poignant moments along these lines. It's also got some nice throwbacks to the original story, most notably in the form of several returning characters whom you'll probably appreciate seeing and hearing once again. Like its predecessor, the Sith Lords isn't necessarily well balanced in terms of its combat system, but the combat is still a lot of fun. It's still in the same pseudo-turn-based style of the original, so you can pause and issue orders to any of your characters at any time, but more often you'll simply watch as they automatically close the distance to attack their foes with melee weapons or hang back and fire away with blasters. Once again, ranged weapons feel rather underpowered, though to be fair, this seems consistent with the Star Wars mythos. Nevertheless, if you focus on building up your melee and lightsaber combat skills, you'll soon start to feel virtually unstoppable. Some fights can still be challenging, such as when you're faced with maybe a dozen enemies at once, but the same tricks to consistently winning battles in Knights of the Old Republic still apply here. A disappointing presentation hurts the Sith Lords, especially on first impression. The game really doesn't look any better than the original, but its frame rate is often even worse, sometimes plummeting down into the single digits during some of the more hectic battles. On the other hand, the lightsaber action you'll still be seeing frequently throughout the second half of the game still looks impressive. As with the original, the best part about the Sith Lord's audio is its extensive use of speech, of which there must be hours and hours here. Most of it is solid, though there are only a few standout performances coming from Kreia and a certain model of sociopathic droid with whom you'll get to exchange words, among other things.
Close to death. Yes, closer than I'd like. You have the smell of the Kolto tank about you. How do you feel?
Given that the Sith Lords arrives only a year after its predecessor, it's remarkable that the game's quest is every bit as big and as complex as the originals. Also, there are some new gameplay twists here, and you should read the full review for all the details on those. Some unsightly technical issues and a general feeling of déjà vu will probably prevent you from feeling as strongly about the Sith Lords as you did or still do about the first game. But then again, it's hard to fault the Sith Lords for following in the footsteps of the original so faithfully.